Hello, everybody. Sorry to interrupt your lunch, but as you saw in the program, we're going to have our SSP business meeting during lunch. So if you aren't interested, just try to be quietly not interested. So we're going to go through a few things that have been going on in the society. We also want to thank some folks, so it shouldn't be too long, but we are starting now. So I guess that was supposed to be up there, but I kind of don't need it because here I am. And I've got to do the whole glasses on and off thing. So the first thing we do want to do is we want to recognize our sponsors and thank all of our sponsors. If you're from a sponsor organization, could you stand up and let everybody recognize your support? Thank you all very much. And we certainly wouldn't all be here if it wasn't for all of your support, so thank you for that. We would also like to recognize our founding members and past presidents. Please stand up if you're a founding member or a past president. I know you're here. Again, thank you for your service and your support. There's a lot of people that make SSP work, so we're going to go through and recognize the committees and their chairs. So the annual meeting committee, chaired by Mary Beth Barilla and Laura Ritchie. The committee and the chairs, please stand. Thank you. Well, that's easy. They're all together. Well, a lot of them are. They're like the committee that needs 2 tables. The audit committee, Jennifer Passanelli. And since I didn't go through all the names on there, Lisa, is you here? Everybody? Thank you very much. The branding task force, chaired by Laurie Carlin and Jocelyn Dawson. Thanks. Another biggie, the communications committee, chaired by Michael DiNatale and Jake Zarniger. Oh, it's nice to see you boys hanging together. Community Engagement Committee, brand new committee, chaired by Kerry Croffey and Michael Mosina. And we have Jocelyn and Helen on the committee. It's expanding. Where's Kerry? Data Access Task Force, chaired by Eileen Kiley and the very colorful David Smith. See, and his back was to me. I knew he'd be colorful. Development Committee, chaired by Veronica Showers and Wendy Newsham. Thank you very much. Early Career Task Force, chaired by Emma Brank and Matt Cooper. Thank you. Another biggie, the Education Committee, chaired by, as we like to say, Bain, Staines, and Froelich, attorneys at law. Finance Committee, chaired by Mr. Laws, Byron. Marketing Committee, chaired by Laurie Carlin and Jeremy Nielsen. Where's Jeremy? Okay, thanks. Membership Committee, chaired by Ann Jester and Tom Thrash. Thanks. The Nominating and Awards Committee, chaired by Howard Ratner. The Organizational Collaboration Committee, chaired by Judy Luther and Brian Owen. Professional Development Committee, chaired by Victoria Ray and Lois Smith. Programming Audit Task Force, chaired by Mary Beth Barilla. The Scholarly Kitchen Cabinet, chaired by Susan Kessner, who is not here but is amazing in this role, as are the supporting committee. And so at this time, yes, my timing was right. I thought I'd give another shout out to the sponsors as I make just a few remarks about our year. So this year, there's been a lot of stuff we've been doing, and most notably, as you might remember, when we were here last year, we were on the verge of hiring an executive director directly to SSP board, a full-time director. And we did that, and Melanie's here, and as you've all seen, has been doing an amazing job. If you're on the committee, you know, any committee, you would certainly know that, or task force. But honestly, that's an accomplishment this year, that Melanie is in place and has defined her job, and we understand what Melanie does, what the president does, what the deputy executive director does, and you know, all the Helen staff and how everybody fits together. At the same time, our beloved Margaret Reich moved on to other pastures, and we hired Helen Seghetti as our new program director. So again, it took a little time. Helen's in place, and she's getting settled. We've had a lot of strategic initiatives to work on this year. What's really exciting to me is that this started with Kent Anderson, went through, and Howard had, we did a session with the board and co-chairs with Howard, the committee chairs, and we came up with our strategy and direction and initiatives that supported that. One of Melanie's tasks, jobs, activities, major contributions this year was organizing that into a program that we could really act on, that made sense, that fit together, that had a logic, progression, dependencies. And so we've completed 16 of the strategic initiatives, and I'll talk about a few of them in a second. There are 25 in progress, and there are 56 yet to go. Now, I'm sure life will change during the 56, and they'll probably merge and change in form, but it's been quite an accomplishment to have a strategic structure in which we operate, and we've kind of balancing serendipity with a plan, so that's always nice. Some of those strategic initiatives have included the rethinking of the travel grant program into the SSP fellowship program. Our lovely recipients are up front, but we'll talk about them later. Also, we launched Remember and the newsletter on a weekly basis, and not only was it launched, but procedures and policies around it were created. It was transferred over to the communications committee, who just took it and ran with it and has really made it operationalized, which is wonderful. Our regional events have grown. During my presidency, we've had 2 regional events in Durham, 2 regional events in Boston, and Michael and Kerry have secured Adrian Stanley to be the local chair for Philadelphia, so pay attention for that. And we're also now looking for local chairs for DC, San Francisco, and Chicago. So we're hoping that by the end of this year, we will have had, or I guess the beginning of next year in that time frame, we'll have had kickoff events in all of those locations. The Scholarly Kitchen webinars kicked off. We've had 2 webinars, and there's another one scheduled for this fall. The idea that the Scholarly Kitchen is a wonderful communication and community asset that we have in the SSP, and we want to expand that, and we want to expand its ability to provide members with benefits. As you saw when we went through the committees, there were also a lot of task forces. We've done a lot of work on branding, and there's been a lot of work that's gone cross-committee. So the task forces really act laterally, the committees act somewhat more vertically. And as part of our initiatives in our board meeting, we just kicked off several new task forces that go in to investigate areas of interest and opportunity that are within our strategic plan. As a matter of fact, at this point, for the committees and the task forces, if you're interested in any of those things, I strongly recommend you go to the Get Involved lunch tomorrow, where we'll talk about the committees and the task forces that are in process and the ones that are starting in a little more detail, so you might see that there's an area where you might have some interest. And also, the Early Career Task Force did a survey that we're going to be analyzing and working with. And all of this is to say that we've been busy, and we've been investing in our organization. Byron Laws is going to be up here in a minute and talking very soon, Byron, come on, and talking about a little bit about our finances. And what you'll see in our finances is that, you know, through the years and through our success, your success, the SSP has built up a bit of a reserve, and it's now time for us to take some of that reserve and do things with them, to get a dedicated, strategically minded executive director, to invest in new programs, to evaluate what we're doing, and to go new places. So I think you're going to see that in our finances as well, that investment is exactly what's happening, and we're very excited about the results so far and the new paths that we're seeing. So right now, I am going to hand this over to Mr. Laws.